Hi, this is Myrna, and this will be a beginning to chapter 6, I think, of Esther. Might be chapter 7. I'll check that. But the thing is, Persia is now in the news. If you notice, a lot of people on YouTube make similar videos, and somebody said, well, that's just because they're copying each other. I think maybe sometimes, but I think sometimes something is happening that is giving people similar ideals. Because I've thought about the book of Esther and the Persians and who were they? Why was what was happening with them happening? Why is this considered such a great book when to me it seems to tell you that women are really very unimportant and interchangeable even? But still, here's Persia up in the news. Now, this is the real, want to make sure I get them right, the real GS News. Now, this to me seems like one hard-working man right here because every time I turn YouTube on, it seems to automatically go to him. And, that's interesting. But today he was talking about how now it's a very mysterious title, and I don't kind of, but I kind of already did tell you had something to do with Persia, which, as far as I know, is the same as Iran. But anyway, it's saying that Persia now has missiles that are powerful enough to reach Europe. So, if anybody's in Europe is paying attention to that, maybe I'm sure it's somewhat unsettling. Well, maybe, but in any case, the point is talking about Persia or Iran, and I wonder why he's saying Persia instead of Iran. I'm not sure if the two are exactly the same, but I looked it up and it said they were, so I don't know. I'm not going to argue with Copilot. So anyway, like I said, this is an introduction to my continuing reading of the Book of Esther. Chapter 7. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the queen of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, If I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we have been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, Who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet and wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, Will he force the queen also before me in the house? And the word went out of the king's mouth. They covered Haman's face. And Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, Behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, Hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. Well, I think that this was a very interesting. I also think it does have some relevance to today's time, to people who call themselves the people who are the descendants of the Israelites, that we may be facing certain troubles, certain things that have been prepared for us, maybe even from the Garden of Eden. seem to be closer than ever to coming into play. But I often say I'm an Aquarius, so I have been inclined toward not dismissing conspiracy theories because I kind of think if you look at the Garden of Eden, that was a conspiracy theory. The devil conspired against the Most High and his creation on earth, Adam and Eve. So I do think that before you should dismiss something, you should at least examine it. So I do think that things that have been prepared to be done to us, if you've ever heard of the King Alfred plan or Rex 84, those were, and I'm also a child of the 60s when people were coming up with all kinds of theories about something being in the grape pop or maybe the orange pop. Now you see that I can't totally dismiss those theories because even the hair products that black women that are reportedly made for black women have been shown to be unhealthy, to be possibly cancer causing and such. So I do think that, yeah, I I I think that what happened there in that kingdom, that Persian kingdom, is relevant to what's happening right here now. And I've always thought that this scripture, and please let me know what you think, but let me pull this scripture up for you. Now, Isaiah chapter 4, people have I've been hearing that scripture 4:1 for the longest, and it reads, "And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach." I have always thought of that as sounding like something Middle Eastern. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that it always reminded me of that. And I've heard it very often used to describe women in America right now, in North America. I don't think it is, and the reason is because the verse right after it reads, "In that day shall the branch of the Lord be glorious." Now, listen to the word branch. It's not saying everybody. It's saying you have a whole tree, this is only a branch. So let me continue. "In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are what? Escaped of Israel." I told you I do truly believe and truly pray for the second Exodus because I think that African Americans here are going to have a really hard time and that the Most High is going to provide a way out. I don't know if it'll be a group or if individuals will have to find their way out. But I think verse 1 is talking about the ones who stay here, and verse 2 is telling you about how great it'll be to not be here. So I do think a lot of things are happening. The thing about being raised a Jehovah's Witness is that you do have a great respect for prophecy and you're always looking out for it. Prophecy, though, never seems to come, at least for me, the way you think it will come. It comes, it gets fulfilled, but you have to keep looking to figure it out. So, before I let you go on this very short video, and if you can, please give me a like, and subscribe and share. It would it would be very nice if you would. So, let me show you just one more bit of information.